Hello, and welcome to Mecca Live, making engaging community connections accessible. This is our pre recording for Monday, August 31st, 2020. The theme for this week is I Am Not My Past. Today's topic is giving yourself permission to let go. I want to remind you that have an issue with the lighting. I want to remind you that we are continuing to do our pre-recordings so that we're able to post them in time to stay inside that 10 a.m., 10:15 time frame that we had prior when we were doing our Mecca Facebook lives on Facebook. So keep in mind that we are utilizing the YouTube platform and then adding the link to the Mecca Facebook page and the Mecca Live Instagram. So let's get right into it. I want to say a couple things. I want to make note and reference to the fact that we are beginning another week, and I want to tip my hat to the parents that are navigating work in their own school. There are many parents that are themselves in school, so I want to tip my hat to the parents that are in school themselves, but that are also working and seeking to navigate the best way to assist their children, especially here in Lee County, um, go about the business of returning to school. Because here in Lee County, Florida, public school starts tomorrow. Um, which is you're probably watching this on Monday. So right now it's Sunday, so I'm pre-recording it. But school starts Monday, August 31st, 2020, here in Lee County, Florida. And so I wanted to just go ahead and make reference to all the parents and families that are seeking to make sure that they have everything in place so that their children are ready to go tomorrow. There are a couple of options. They were able to return to school face to face. They're able to go to school via Lee Home Connect, um, and then there are other options. They could do leave virtual and remain inside the public school system, or other options, home ed, things like that. So I want to say that I understand. I'm right there with you, but that we're survivors, and we make the decisions. We make those tough decisions, and sometimes it's difficult to do, especially when it may come at a time where it feels like it's what do they say, six of one and half dozen of the other. So I want to go ahead and get this rolling and wrap it up prior to the sun completely setting. We had some good sunlight earlier, and I was trying to catch it before it went away, but we're going to do the best we can with the lighting that we do have. And so I want to go ahead and get right into it. Again, the theme this week is I'm Not My Past, and the topic um, for this episode is giving yourself permission to let go. The reason why we are working on that this week, that this week's theme is going to be looking at I'm not my past and separating from certain things, is so many of us are um, so many of us are held captive by aspects of our past. It may be the thing that happened in our past, it may be the reaction to the thing that happened in our past, and it may be how we handled the thing from our past, right? And then there's the other piece, right? I mean, there's many other pieces, but these were the two biggest ones that when I asked, when I kind of interviewed some people, and I said I want to go with what I hear the most. And so, obviously I did my research, but I wanted to hear from real live, breathing in and out people, what they thought. And so it was that I feel like I'm held captive by something that happened in my past, and then the other piece where people just won't let it go. And so I want to be clear that the reason why this topic is giving yourself permission to let go is because no one, you can't control what other people think or what other people do. Obviously what we do, what we say, our character, our actions, our behaviors contribute to that script, right? But we can't control what other people think. We can't control what other people do and how they interpret what we say and what we do beyond our due diligence to correct and be clear. Um, but the trajectory of our future, the trajectory of where we go from here, you know, is are we getting closer to our goal? Are we getting further away from our goal? That trajectory is set by what we believe, by the things that we hold on to, by the things that resonate within our spirit and our soul that becomes our truth. And if we're holding on to things that would best serve us by letting go, then what are we really doing? And what do we really expect from others to think and see and believe of us? And so it starts with us. And you may do your own work. You may script and rescript and adjust and amend your own narrative. But if you don't believe it, if you don't, when you look in here and you don't see redemption and you don't see restoration, right? And you don't see those pieces where you've overcome and where you've grown, and those experiences don't resonate within you, then how much more relevant is the truth that someone else believes about you? And what place of honor is that thought, that belief system that someone else has of you? Where is that gonna, how will that resonate within you? And that place of honor, do you give that a pedestal? And is that the thing? Is that who you are? Is that your mirror? Because if it is, then I don't know how you'll be able to see past that. And once we realize that the power to change that, the power to rewrite the script, the power to have the best lighting on the set of our reality begins with us, and that power resides within us. We just have to believe that, accept it, and utilize it. And I know that's easier said than done, but I talk to so many people who have so many regrets. And there are so many young people that I speak with and I've spoken with for the last 20 some odd years who speak to different fears. I didn't do this because I was afraid, or I wasn't sure how that was going to work out, and I didn't take that chance. I didn't make that decision. So let me ask this: when you hear that, I'm not my past, do you hear self-love? Do you hear steps towards self-care? And if you do, how? If that's what you hear, then what does that sound like? Well, I'm not my past, so therefore I can create my own future. Like, what is it? How does that resonate within you when you hear "I'm not my past"? Does that give you permission to be something else? Because not being in the past means you're present, right? And being present means there's activity. The cells are changing, you're breathing in and out. There's an ebb and flow. So I'm not my past because I'm in the present. But what does that mean actively? As it relates to your goals and your dreams and your desires and your purpose and your mission. What does that mean? I'm not my past. Because there's many artists sing about that very thing, and many artists draw and paint images that speak to the same thing. But what does that mean for you? And how do you let that play out in your life? We talked about trauma last week, and we talked about how it impacts our mind and our mindset, and how we can get stuck in these different places, and how being stuck impacts and affects directly and indirectly the trajectory of our purpose and our life and our mindset and our perspective. All of that. All of that. So what comes to mind when I say I'm not my past, and you giving yourself permission to let go? What comes to mind? What kind of things do you think of? Do you think of fears? Do you think of regrets? Do you think of chances that you didn't take? Opportunities that may have come and gone? And just, I'm not sure if I'm ready for that. Or I don't want to take that chance and fail. There's a line that a lot of people repeat over and over and over again from the last Rocky movie, because I can't remember if it was 5, 6, 7. I don't remember which one it was, but the very last one. And I'm gonna mess it up, so I'm gonna paraphrase it because I can't remember exactly how it was said. But it's not how hard you get hit, but how hard you get hit while moving forward. If our goal is to make zero mistakes, then that's a mistake. But if our goal is to make zero mistakes, then we are setting ourselves up for failure. Because if failure is termed and defined by making a mistake, then most of the lessons learned by inventors were those things that were mistakes, in the sense that they set out to do one thing and either that didn't happen or something else was created. Scientists keep notebooks and journals because they map which way they went, to keep track of the steps that they've taken so that if it didn't work, they know what they did, what not to do, or hey, I hadn't considered that. This ended up happening because I didn't know that interacted that way. Now we are on to something else, or keep that in mind for the next go around. Do you see where I'm going? When we think about I'm not my past, sometimes we have these, if I only had more time, I may have, right? If I could do it again, I would do this, 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 and this. So a couple things come to mind with those two phrases. One, bucket lists. We'll talk about that in a second. And then two, just being kind. You know, if you made a certain decision at a certain time based on the information that you had at that time, and perhaps other circumstances that were interacting and intersecting at the same time, be kind to yourself in that regard, because it's not really fair to say, if I could do it again, I would. Why? It's not fair because now you're on the other side. Now you're privy to information that you didn't have then. So trust that you made the best decision you could at that time. Because when we go back and say I would have, I should have, I could have, then that's dismissing who we were and who we are then. And it thwarts the ability that we have now to incorporate what we've learned and move forward. I just did a welcome video. I think that's what it was called. So I was asked by one of my sorors to do a short video to welcome back the students at the school where she works. And one of the things we were asked to do was to share one of our favorite quotes. And I've said it before on a different Mecca Live, but one of my very favorite quotes is a quote by Nelson Mandela. And he said, "I never lose. I either win or learn." And how I've embraced that quote is to say that even if it doesn't work out the way I planned it, even if it goes completely left, contrary to not even close to the way I planned it, I have the ability to learn from that. What can I glean from that experience? Because I tell you what, I'm not going to come out the same person having gone through that. It's impossible. I'm not. And each piece means something. Each piece matters. But if after due diligence, the outcome that I desire works, I win. If it doesn't, what can I learn from that? What can I glean from that? Go right back to the scientific method. The reason why I'm sharing that is because that quote, I remember the first time I heard it, it was like a relief valve that gave me permission to just embrace the different things that the different possible outcomes, but also it sparked my awareness to pay attention along the way. Because sometimes I'll speak to being an athlete. I know that there are times in different sports that I played where we ran a drill and ran a drill and ran a drill until it was like second nature. And then you get in the game and then one thing that we couldn't prepare for because we were doing a scrimmage and we kind of know each other. But in the game, everything's different, right? Now we're playing opponents, right? And then maybe it's the time of the day, or maybe, I had something to eat. I didn't have anything to eat. There's many different factors that play into that. But in the game, we're paying attention. Oh, wait, I need to back up. That's right. Because she sprints, right? So she's got this speed. So I need to make sure I cut in or whatever. So we have to, adapt and amend as we go. But my point is this: when I know that I've practiced this drill and I know the parts that I'm good at, I know the parts that kind of are tenuous in the sense of there may be some give, some space for me to adjust, then I'm paying attention. And if that play doesn't work out the way I planned it to, then as it's happening, this is why I'm talking about perspective. I know no matter what happens, I'm going to pay attention to all the pieces, because if this doesn't go quite right, I'm going to know how to adapt and adjust because I've made the decision to pay attention in the process. That's the journey part. That's the part where I said last week, the journey is the destination. Arriving at the goal, arriving at the place, we do ourselves an injustice by determining that the place is the destination. Because once we get there, now what? It's a letdown. If the goal is the platform for the next goal, then the journey has all the width and breadth to be the destination. So I'm paying attention, smelling the roses, I'm embracing these different things that happen along the way. I'm saying hi to the neighbors, right? It's the difference between riding a motorcycle and riding a bicycle. I get to take in more, and I'm not pitting one against the other. I'm saying there's some differences, right? And so when we look at the bucket list. We're looking at before I die. If we spend our lives fighting death, there's going to be so much that we miss. And I'm not saying that we shouldn't make a concerted effort to do some of the things that we really want to do and pay attention to the things that give us life, or that we're curious about, or places we want to go and embrace that. I'm not saying that. What I am saying, though, is if my mission is to race against death, I'm still in the same, it's either the same or a parallel path where the destination is the destination and not the journey being the destination. If every day I can learn something, then every day is a journey and every day is an adventure. I'm not saying don't plan for vacations and things of that nature. What I'm saying is if our mindset is set toward beating death, getting everything in before racing death, that's my if that's my goal and my mission, then I'm going to be spinning my wheels in one direction. If my purpose and my goal as far as time and life is to enjoy all of everything. I forget who wrote it, but suck up the marrow of life. I have to remember who wrote that, and then I'll put it in the comments. But that means I'm not missing nothing. Marrow is in the middle of the bone, which means they've gone past the skin. Those of you who are meat eaters, gone past the skin, the meat, the fat, the bone, and now into the bone. So I'm not promoting meat eating. What I'm saying is to say that you're going to suck out the marrow of life, that means that you're going to embrace every piece, all the details, all the nooks and crannies, all of it. That's the experience. You can't do that without recognizing the journey as the destination. And so, but this part about my past, like I'm not willing for beyond staving death, like beyond like getting to this place, getting beyond the place where we're rushing against death to check off all the boxes. Did I really enjoy all the pieces when I'm in a rush to check the boxes off? Maybe. I know that the way I'm set up, it's not going to be that way because once I'm in a race, once I have my track shoes on, all I see is the finish line. I don't see the people in the stands. I don't see the runner next to me. I may see some blurs in the peripheral, but when the gun goes off, all I see is the finish line. And I'm focused on that. So I'm missing all this other stuff because I'm racing, right? If I'm doing cross country, if I'm trotting, if I'm on my bicycle, um, I'm in a different space, right? But if I'm looking at not being stuck, especially if there was something in my past that I just, especially if we have people that are not willing to let that go, and they see us progressing and reinventing ourselves and processing restoration. There may be reasons why they don't want us to get past that. There may be reasons why they want us to stay there. Maybe us being in a stuck place, one of regret or one of some kind of negative experience. But it doesn't start with them giving us permission. It doesn't start with them not reminding us of our past. But we're always going to have people like that for one reason or the other. And we'll talk about that later on this week. But today we're going to focus on me giving me permission to let it go. What have I learned from that experience? Have I come to a place where I understand why I did that, or why I allowed that to happen, or why I didn't do something? Have I spent time with that moment in my past? Have I learned everything I could learn from it? Have I felt everything I could feel from it? Is everything in that experience, have I gleaned everything from it? Have I wrung it out to where all the knowledge is now out, and it's just the debris of what's left? Because the last thing we want to carry with us as we progress on to our goals and on to the next one and the next goal and the next goal, as we accomplish this goal, that then goal becomes the platform for the next one. As we continue those steps that we set up for ourselves, the last thing we want to do is carry this trash and garbage from the past. And understand there'll be people that walk behind you picking up your trash. So you gotta be careful where you throw your trash. we process these issues, is best even when you have to make amends with specific people in specific situations. Even then, when you discard what no longer serves you, make sure you're not just dropping it in the street. Because a lot of times our past comes back to haunt us because we have put our litter in the wrong place. Make sure you understand where the trash bin is so stuff doesn't have to come back. And stuff is least likely to come back. But the last thing we want to do is carry waste with us as we marching on. That's the last thing we want to do. That doesn't serve us, right? And so once you've learned everything that you can learn, once all the and it's not, sometimes it's not pretty depending upon what that past thing is. Sometimes what we need to learn from the things that we have done may hurt, may cause you to draw your toes back in a little bit. But the sooner we learn those lessons, the sooner we get on the other side. And sometimes, if any of you are hard headed like I used to be, I tend to be a little bit from time to time, but I've gotten better. I'm still a work in progress. But when we make the decision that I'm going to learn this lesson now, what else can I learn from the situation? It keeps us from having to repeat it. And even if we do have to repeat it, the repeat is not as suffocating and difficult if we've learned any bit from the first time. If we haven't learned, don't learn your lesson, hard heads make a soft behind. When we pay attention, we can allow ourselves, excuse me, when we pay attention, we allow ourselves to be our best teachers. Watch, listen. If you feel some kind of way, pay attention to that. When you're doing something, like plan it out, think it through. So that as you're going through it, I didn't think about that. Let me back up a little bit, depending upon what the it is and the situation is. Um, but that requires us to be present. That requires us to be kind and compassionate with ourselves because we are human. But we live in this society, this day and age where making mistakes is this horrible thing, where making mistakes is part of learning. We say that out of our mouths to many childhood or school age children, and but then we don't live it out, right? We don't allow that because then it's like, so and so got it wrong again. As adults, as teachers, as people of influence, regardless of what that may be with the child, it could be you could be the coach, and you could be the teacher, you could be the aide, you could be whatever the case may be. We need to adjust the environment, the learning environment, the culture that speaks to mistakes being failure being mistakes, because that's not at all what this should be about. But let me go ahead and wrap this up because the lighting is going far, far away. um, so I want to say that be kind to yourself and think through when you are having these thoughts in these situations where you're really starting to second guess um, your past. You're not your past. We are better than the worst thing we've ever done. And if we really believe that, then the choices we make going forward will illuminate that and understand that some of those choices you make, you may be standing by yourself. But when you do your work, when we do our work, our personal work, we become our best company. And so being alone is no thing. There's so many people that have a hard time being alone. And so they end up in relationships and environments and organizations and companies and groups and different situations by default because it's better than being alone. But is it really? What doesn't give you life, what doesn't serve your positive growth toward the best you, is doing what? Is doing what? When I spend time with myself, that's when that whole Michael Jackson "Man in the Mirror" song comes to fruition. I have to really look at the parts of Nzinga that's not cute, but because I love Nzinga, I'm going to do that because doing so gets me closer to the other side, my best and truest me. And then that company, that's good company, which means if I share her with other people, they get the best part of me. They don't have to trudge through my past. If I share with them things that I've done or whatever, and that getting to know you This is authentically me, and these things from my past help shape me who I am, but I'm not there. I'm not holding back. I'm not held up. How liberating and freeing is that? So I want to give you your at home work, uh, so that we can, I'm losing light bad fast. This it's not so much that it's evening, but that it we have I hear the thunder in the background, so we're entering a storm system. So I want to go ahead and finish, and then we'll start earlier tomorrow so that we don't have the same kind of situation. But I want to remind you that the theme for this week is "I'm Not My Past." Today's topic is giving yourself permission to let go, and tomorrow we will talk about um, the me they won't let me forget. So the topic is people and potholes, but we're going to be talking about what that topic means is the me that people won't let me forget. So I want to remind you to be kind to yourself that you may be kind to others. And as always, speak life.